In the quiet town of Nsuka, where the red earth clung to every step and the scent of roasted maize drifted through the air, the sun rose slowly on Good Friday. The streets were calm, as though nature itself had paused to remember something holy. Among the waking town was Chinedu, a 17-year-old boy with questions too big for Sunday school and faith too small to be noticed. Raised by his grandmother, a woman whose prayers could shake heaven, Chinedu never quite understood why the death of a man 2,000 years ago should matter to him. But on this Good Friday, things began to shift. His grandmother had insisted he join the procession to mark the Stations of the Cross. Reluctantly, he followed, through the dusty roads to the old Catholic church at the edge of the town. The crowd had gathered, dressed in colorful traditional garments, their faces solemn under the weight of remembrance. The priest's voice echoed through the still morning as he recounted the ancient journey. Jesus condemned by Pilate, mocked by soldiers, crowned with thorns, and forced to carry a cross through the streets of Jerusalem. As Chinedu walked with the crowd, something stirred within him. With each station, the story of Christ began to look less like a distant myth and more like a mirror. At the station where Jesus was condemned, Chinedu remembered a classmate, wrongly punished at school, silenced without a voice. In that moment, he saw the same injustice echoing across time. When the priest spoke of Jesus falling under the weight of the cross, Chinedu thought of his father, burdened by the struggle to provide, bent but never broken. And when the name Simon of Cyrene was spoken, a man from Africa forced to carry Jesus' cross, Chinedu felt a spark of pride. The story of redemption was not foreign, it had African fingerprints on it. The Savior's journey had crossed their soil too. As the procession continued, the weight of the crucifixion fell heavy on his spirit. Jesus nailed to the cross, the sky darkening, the silence that followed death. Chinedu, for the first time, felt the sorrow of that day not just in his ears, but in his bones. By the time they reached the 12th station, where Jesus dies on the cross, Chinedu was no longer just following a ritual. He felt the weight of the nails in his own soul, the silence of heaven, the betrayal of friends, the abandonment. Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani, the priest read. My God, why have you forsaken me? Chinedu's heart ached. He remembered a moment during the number-end SARS protests when young people had knelt in peaceful prayer before the bullets came. He saw Jesus in them too. The walk ended, but the journey did not. That night, as the stars blinked above and the firewood crackled in the compound, the town sat in quiet reflection. It was Holy Saturday, the day in between, the waiting day, the silent day. In the stillness, Chinedu's heart was restless. Why did Jesus wait till Sunday? Why not rise the moment he died? And yet, in the silence, he remembered stories from long ago, stories of those who had waited too. He remembered Joseph, once abandoned in a pit, forgotten in a prison, yet eventually raised to a palace. He thought of Daniel, thrown into a lion's den, where danger slept beside him, but harm never touched him. He saw Esther, once an orphan, now crowned queen, positioned to save her people. And Lazarus, dead, wrapped, buried, until a voice called him back to life. In every silence, God had been working. In every delay, a plan had been unfolding. And so, the silence of Saturday became a promise. Then came Sunday. The town awoke to celebration. Drums beat joyfully. Women wrapped their heads with pride and children danced with laughter. The church overflowed with color and praise. Songs of resurrection filled the air, chasing away the shadows of Friday's grief. Chinedu stood in the congregation, transformed. He now understood the journey, not just of Jesus, but of everyone who had ever waited in the dark for light to come. The resurrection was not just an event. It was a truth, alive in every corner of their lives. After church, families gathered under mango trees, sharing meals of jollof rice, fried plantain, goat meat, and sweet zobo. Laughter rang through the air, unburdened by sorrow. Chinedu sat among them, changed, not because a sermon had convinced him, but because the story had found him. He now knew that Easter was more than tradition. It was a reminder that even when all seems lost, when death has done its worst, when silence feels endless, Sunday will still come. And on that road to Sunday morning, faith is not just found, it is reborn.